Hello, my name is Christopher Scott and I'm a small groups pastor of a local church, and in this video I'm going to give you a 5-minute introduction to the book of 1 Corinthians. Okay, so in this video I'm going to talk about the author of Corinthians, I'm going to talk about the audience he was writing to, I'm going to give you the date the book likely was written, I'm going to talk to you about the outline of the book, the key verses of the book, and a key theme of the book. Okay, so let's talk about the author first. The author is the Apostle Paul, right? There's 27 books in the New Testament, in our Bible. In the New Testament, there's 27 books. 13 of those books were written by the Apostle Paul, and 1 Corinthians is one of those 13 books, okay? So next, let's talk about the audience that he was writing to. I'll probably spend most of my time talking about the audience. So the audience that Paul was writing to was the believers in the city of Corinth, okay? And he wrote this letter. In our Bible, we have 2 letters that Paul wrote to the believers in Corinth, but there likely was 4 total letters that Paul wrote to the believers in Corinth, right? 4 total letters. You might say there's only 2 letters in the Bible. Well, 2 of those letters we don't have, or no one's ever recovered since he wrote them, I guess, or we don't have now, right? And so how do we know there's 4 letters? Well, in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 9, Paul references a letter he had already sent to the believers in Corinth, okay? So 1 Corinthians is actually 2 Corinthians, if you think about it, right? So in 1 Corinthians 5:9, he references a letter he had already sent to them. Then additionally, 1 Corinthians we have is the second letter that was written from Ephesus in 57 AD, likely. And then we know there was a third letter written to Corinthians because in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 8 through 12, Paul references a very sharp letter, or a very pointed and direct letter that he wrote to the believers in Corinth, right? And it was carried by Titus, is what he talks about, right? So that's in 2 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 8 through 12. He talks about that. And then we have the book of 2 Corinthians, okay? So we have that first letter before Corinthians, we have 1 Corinthians, then we have the sharp letter, and then we have 2 Corinthians, 4 total letters. And the believers that Paul was writing to in Corinth were believers that he knew, that he had met, because he traveled to Corinth and he stayed there for about 18 months and helped to start and plant a church there. So these are people that he knew and had met. And that was in probably AD 50, somewhere in there. And then he writes the letter of 1 Corinthians about 7 years later in AD 57, okay? So let's talk about the date of the book now. I've already given you the date a couple times. It was likely in 57 AD, okay? And to give you a little time frame, Jesus likely was crucified, buried, and resurrected in about 33 to 36 AD, somewhere in there. And then the book of John, the gospel, or the book of Revelation was written in 95 AD. So that might give you a little feel. 36 AD, 95 AD, and then 57 AD is when the book of 1 Corinthians was written. Okay, so that gives you a little bookends for the death of Jesus, resurrection of Jesus, as well as the last New Testament book written was the book of Revelation in 95. The first couple books of the Bible, the New Testament I should say, the first couple books of the New Testament were written in 49 or 50 AD. That was the book of Galatians by Paul, and then the book of James, all right? So 1 Corinthians is pretty early on in the writing of the New Testament letters and the New Testament books, because the Gospels, a lot of people say Matthew, Mark, and Luke were written in the mid-60s, if that makes any sense, okay? Next, I want to give you an outline of the book, okay? I'm going to give you an outline of the book. The book, which is Warren Wiersbe provides, is a greeting in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 1 through 3. Reproof, the report of sin in the church. Instruction is the reply to their questions. And then conclusion, right? That's an outline I'll put in the description down below. A key verse of the book is talked about in 1 Corinthians 2, verses 6 through 8. 1 Corinthians 2, verses 6 through 8, right? It says, "Yet when I am among mature believers, I do speak with words of wisdom, but not the kind of wisdom that belongs to this world or to the rulers of this world, who are soon forgotten. No, the wisdom we speak of is the mystery of God, his plan that was previously hidden, even though he made it for our immediate glory before the world began. But the rulers of this world have not understood it. If they had, they would not have been crucified, and not have crucified our Lord Jesus Christ." And that's talking about the wisdom, right? The wisdom is the gospel, and rulers of this world don't know about it. It's only the wisdom through Jesus Christ. That's the key verse. And the key theme of the book is God's wisdom. I'm adapting some of this from Warren Wiersbe. If you'd like to study this book in a small group, the book of 1 Corinthians, I really recommend the Bible study guide by Warren Wiersbe, Discern the Difference Between Man's Knowledge and God's Wisdom. And there's also a commentary that comes along with it called Be Wise. And I'll have links to these items down below that you can go to Amazon and purchase them. It's affiliate codes, so I do get a small commission, so just to let you know. So my name's Christopher Scott. Hope this video was helpful for you as a brief introduction to the book of 1 Corinthians. If you want to subscribe to my channel, you can subscribe up there. If you want to find other 5-minute introductions to books of the Bible, I got some links over there. If you want to learn how to use the Warren Wiersbe Bible Study Guide for the book of 1 Corinthians, I have that video down here. And then if you want to have some other small group facilitator tips, I got some of those videos down there. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again in another video.